Hello and welcome back to Geekdom Movies. We are finally live and in person with you guys instead of on Zoom. COVID is slowly starting to wind down. We're super excited about it. So we are safely here at my new house, which I just bought with a bonfire in the back, and we're excited to be outdoors. It's summer. So we have three great movies to talk about tonight, starting with the disaster Artemis Fowl. And then we're going to take things down a notch. We're going to talk about Just Mercy. And at the end, we're going to talk about a fun, lighthearted movie called Date Night with Steve Carell and Tina Fey.
Which is a great movie. Can't wait to review that.
Yeah, we're all excited about all three of these movies. Actually, we have a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Let's jump into Artemis Fowl. What did you guys think?
Well, you read the book, right?
Yeah, so
I'll have you go first.
Alright, okay. So, I'm a big reader. When I was 12 years old when this book came out, I loved it. I remember reading the first one, I got it in the library, all my friends were talking about it, really loved it, and I remembered, 2 or 3 plot points. I wrote them down before I watched the movie. I remembered that he was a smart 12-year-old. I remembered that fairies vibrate so fast, and that's why you can't see them. And I remembered, he was trying to solve a mystery. And that's it. I had almost no memory of the book, but I know that I really liked it. And I also know every time when I was a kid, I would walk past those posters that they had in the library. I was always in libraries. They would have, posters for, the second book or the third book, and I would always go, oh yeah, that's on my list. I definitely have to read the second one. And then I just, they were always out because everybody else was reading them. So I never, my parents didn't really buy me books. I just had to wait till stuff got to the library. And I never got to read the second one. And then I, aged out of it or forgot about it. And so when I saw this movie coming out, I was like, oh my gosh, I really hope they do it justice. And I know they're not going to. And so yeah, and I didn't have very high hopes for it. And then the teaser trailer came out. And this is what's interesting. The teaser trailer looked really, really good.
Oh, really?
Do you guys remember the teaser trailer?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, do you remember, the cool fairy that turns into, it morphs into, a person? With all the white
what? Yes, and none of that was in the movie.
None of that was in the movie.
Well, I was questioning that. I'm like, the teaser was better, but it had other scenes.
Yeah.
And those scenes were better than what the finale movie was.
A million times better.
So I'm really confused as to...
Well, it turns out that they did major, huge rewrites on this movie. I don't know why.
Someone was trying to sabotage it. That's my story.
Maybe. It's just very, very strange that they would have, this really interesting, cool special effect that I'd never seen anything like it, and I was so excited. Maybe they're going to do this movie justice, and then you go and watch the movie, and it's not only are the special effects just okay, but they completely deleted all the really cool stuff that was in the trailer.
Yeah, I remember thinking that, because I was like, this movie does not look as impressionable than what we got from Disney's promotions.
No, it wasn't impressive at all.
And Kenneth Branagh is one of my favorite directors. He did the Thor movies. Mm-hmm. He did Cinderella, which is, remake, as live action remakes go.
That was amazing.
Cinderella is 10 out of 10 in my world. So I was really excited because Kenneth Branagh is so good. He was the voice of, he was in The Road to El Dorado. He was the voice of the guy who wanted to leave. And he got hooked up with the girl.
Oh, yeah. The brown-haired guy, yeah.
Yeah, and he was the voice. He's also an actor, of course. But he's become a really great director.
Wow.
So my question is a little bit like this. How could somebody that has such a good resume like Kenneth Branagh make such a bad remake when he made Cinderella so good? I'm really confused as to what happened exactly and how this movie just didn't, not even this movie isn't, guys, there's been so many remakes, and Lion King, not that good. Aladdin, in my world, was good, but some people still didn't like the live action. I feel like Artemis Fowl is in a whole nother level of bad.
It's a whole nother level of bad.
And I really feel sorry for that kid because this is his first role and his career has been like completely destroyed.
You know
he
what?
Is so bad in this movie.
I think he's probably a good actor, bad directing. That's my guess.
But he's like
This would be a very hard role to play. In the books, he's supposed to be like an adult stuck in a kid's body. Like, he's super genius, so smart. Nobody understands him because he's so smart. And he's almost like a grown-up. And a lot of times, because I went back and I'm rereading the books now, a lot of times in the book it'll say his butler friend, who in the books is only known as Butler, will say like, "Oh, for just a moment I saw a glimpse of what it would have been like if he had only been a child, or the boy that he is inside." But he's so mature and he's so grown up, and it would be hard to direct that. It would be hard to be like, okay, you're playing a kid, but you're also an adult, and you have to show restraint. It didn't work as well here as I would have liked it to, but I kind of see what they were going for.
Maybe, but I've never read the book, so for me this was just. I mean, I remember finishing the movie and be like, I'm getting the book because for Disney Plus, if you're on Disney Plus right now, you can buy the Kindle version of Artemis Fowl for 99 cents. I don't know if that promotion is still going on, but after I watched the movie, I did go on Amazon and purchased the Disney Plus promotion and got the book for 99 cents.
Oh, cool.
And I'm gonna read it. So definitely check that out if you're kind of like, well, this movie has great concepts, and it does. There's level of like Harry Potter lore, mythology building.
Yeah. Did you read the books growing up?
No.
Okay.
No,
but it does seem like a big world that is just.
It's a huge world, and that's another thing about this movie. The books, they go all over the fairy world, the elf world, the gnome world. In this book, it pretty much just takes place in Artemis's house. And that's it. They just kind of stay in the house.
They all just kind of come to the house and stay in the house, you're right. Yeah. And then also the other thing that I noticed was, and I'm really sorry, but this is my voice of Josh Gad, who does the voice of Olaf. I am a dwarf, and I will help you.
I'm not Olaf. I'm definitely not Olaf.
Oh my god, his narrating was so bad. I'm like, stop. Please stop. And then he has like this weird like ending where he's not the dwarf. I mean, there was just...
Oh, he's secretly an elf or whatever.
Or something like that. Sorry, spoilers. I don't care. This movie's trash.
That could have been a good reveal.
Yeah, that could have.
In a better movie.
In a much better movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even... I mean, like, let's just go into spoilers. I thought the fairy world was really well made, but every actor was just terrible. Judi Dench is terrible.
Yeah.
That girl is okay, I guess.
I thought Holly did an okay job for what she was given. I think it was directing less than, because we know Josh Gad can act, we know Judi Dench can act,
and we know Colin Farrell definitely acts.
Yeah. Well, Colin Farrell was good.
He killed it.
I was watching and I'm like, but he's in it for like what, 10 minutes maybe, 5?
He was amazing in this. He was the best part of the movie by far.
I'm really excited. Colin Farrell's gonna be Penguin in the new Batman, and I'm so pumped for that.
That is
no
gonna be
way.
amazing.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
That'll be perfect.
But I gotta say the only thing I really liked about this movie was the butler. He had some more interesting than all the other characters, and then I liked, 5-10 minutes of like Colin Farrell playing the dad. The special effects, you can see the money on screen. Like it's an expensive movie.
You can tell they spent a lot of money. The sets, the locations, the CGI, but then they kind of just don't do anything with the CGI. Like, they had some really cool special effects in the trailer, and that's probably where they spent all their money. And then like you go to the fairy world, and there's full stretches of scenes in the fairy world with just all practical effects, which could be cool, but they're not good practical effects.
Huh.
Like the whole scene underground where Holly is talking to the dwarf, the giant dwarf, like all of that stuff could have benefited from some better CGI.
Yeah, and apparently he's supposed to be the bad guy. I never picked that up. And then, you told me, and other people told me that Artemis Fowl is actually the villain of the story. So and I was like, he's not acting like a villain at all. So that's even more confusing.
Well, we need to. At the end of the movie, he goes, "I'm a criminal mastermind," and you're like, "No, you're not. Like, you haven't done anything bad in this whole movie." Well, in the books, you're really focused more. It's told from a third-party perspective, not Josh Gad, but you're really focused a lot more on Holly the elf. So you're seeing things more from Holly being the protagonist, and then Artemis Fowl is like a super villain. He's like the Lex Luthor of the stories. And over the course of 5 or 6 books, Holly's relationship with Artemis, because they both have missing fathers, grows and develops, and he learns how to be a better person because of her. Didn't get that in the movies.
No, not even a little bit.
No.
Like, I was very confused when you told me that, and I read it online too, and I was like, wait, what?
Well, Disney said the reason that they changed it and didn't make Artemis a supervillain is because they didn't think that audiences could handle a 12-year-old supervillain. And the best back that I heard on Twitter was, but we did, and that's why this is a best-selling book series. Audiences did accept it 20 years ago when this was like the best-selling book series on the New York Times seller list. So,
but there's been kids who were villains or bad guys before. I mean, Malfoy.
Yeah, and somebody was like, what about Game of Thrones, Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Like, there's all kinds of, like, evil 12-year-old supervillains
Yeah,
out there.
oh yeah, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones
for
is
sure.
way worse.
Yeah.
But Disney does not do anything controversial, so they didn't think parents could handle it, which is probably true to some extent. But if the point of the story is that he's growing and learning to be a better person, then yeah, parents would have been fine with it if they sat down and watched the movie, but
they didn't.
No.
Right.
Especially if they focused on Holly as the protagonist and Artemis was more of a background character.
He doesn't have to be full-blown villain. He could just be the thing where it's the focus on her and she's just kind of trying to find him. And that could have even worked out. And he's not... There's so many ways you could have done it.
In the books, he kidnaps her. That part was accurate. But in the books, like, you're focused on Holly, and Artemis is more like a background character who...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Carmen Sandiego, if you ever watched that.
Yeah, exactly
it's
like Carmen
this
Sandiego.
mystery. Where in the world is Artemis Fowl is what it felt like it should have been.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Rather than like, this is Artemis Fowl. You know exactly where he is, and you know exactly what his motives are, and know exactly what he's doing, and he's the focus.
Well,
and you're like, that's stupid. That's not what the book set up.
No, and so in the books, and this is a spoiler, big spoiler for the books, you find out slowly over time that his mother is alive in the books, but she's kind of gone crazy and lost her mind, and the doctors have given up on her. And so his father goes missing.
Wow.
He has only his butler is kind of like his only father figure.
Kind of like Batman.
Well, you find out, spoiler, over the course of the books that what he's doing is trying to steal fairy magic to heal his mother.
Oh.
So he's doing bad things if you're a fairy, from fairy's perspective, but he's doing it all to save his mother. So he's like a little mini Walter White. And you have to kind of learn...
I see what you're saying.
He's doing bad things for a good reason. And over the course of the story, even in the first book, like when he captures Holly the Elf, at first he doesn't feel anything. And then he goes up and he like... Because he shoots her in the books. He like shoots her with the pea shooter or whatever. And he goes up and he sees like her limp body because he tranquilized darts her. And he like realizes that it's a female. And he goes, oh my gosh, she kind of looks like my mom. Like, and it like melts his heart for a minute because he was expecting a male elf. And then you see his like humanity show. And then he turns it back around and he like snaps it back off because he's got to get that magic to save his mom. So much more complexity in the books.
So it sounds like the books have a very good understanding of this character and this world.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Is what I'm hearing, which is interesting.
There's a lot, it's a lot darker and a lot more complex.
I think I am, even though you told me some spoilers, I feel like I still need to read it because I do like
it.
A concept of the world, so that's interesting. Let's give our final score. Mine is skip it, even if it's free. Skip it. Go watch Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Go watch.
Was way better.
Yeah, way better. Go watch. Go watch Hunger Games. Go watch Harry Potter. Go watch Chronicles of Narnia. There's so many better movies out there.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings isn't really like kid story wise. Lord of the Rings is good, but
Well, yeah.
I feel like Chronicles of Narnia and Harry Potter and Percy Jackson
It's more
Yeah.
kid, yeah.
Yeah, and you're talking about dark stuff, so maybe Hunger Games. What's the one? Oh, the Maze Runner movies are really
Yeah,
good.
Maze
I
Runner
enjoyed
movies
them.
are good, yeah.
So check out Maze Runner. There's just a lot better movies out there. Divergent, I liked it. Or was it Divergent? What is it called?
Divergent was
Divergent.
good,
Thank you.
Mhm.
So that's my final score. Skip it completely. Don't even bother.
Mine is read the books.
Okay, which I did. I haven't read
Well,
it,
you're
but I
going
did
to.
I purchased it. George,
Yeah, I would say skip this movie because it was terrible. And
sweet.
Yeah, watch one of those other movies.
Yeah. So if all three of us are telling you to skip it, I always hope that one of us
I don't know.
backs
have
it
we
up and
ever-
not one person.
I don't know if we've ever had a movie that was
Yeah.
where we all
I'm trying to
agreed
think.
on not watching it.
Have we
The
ever had a
closest
movie?
one we had was Colors in Space or something. Where
Oh,
you
yeah,
guys said it
Colors
was.
But you never
Space,
saw it,
yeah.
though.
Yeah, I never saw that.
I'm trying to
so-
think of a movie in theaters we saw that we all ended up didn't enjoying it. I don't even know. I'm trying to
I'm not
think.
sure.
I don't think
I
we've
don't think
ever
we've
hated
ever-
a movie.
No.
We thought Ad Astra was boring, but it wasn't a bad
Oh,
movie.
yeah,
It
was
wasn't
really
bad.
boring.
It was like extremely. It seemed
Slow.
rather philosophical.
Yeah, but it wasn't
Yeah,
like
but-
terrible. Oh, like you're wasting
Yeah.
your money. All right,
Yeah,
well,
this was terrible.
yeah. So skip.
All right, we're gonna take things down a notch. We've got a more serious movie to talk about, and then we're gonna do a more fun one later. So we're gonna talk about Just Mercy, which it's very topical right now. Just Mercy, if you don't know, is a movie starring the guy from Black Panther. What's his name?
Oh yeah.
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B.
you.
Jordan. Thank you, and Jamie Foxx. And it is a
Jamie Foxx is really good in
Yeah,
this movie.
he was really great.
Can I just say though, I thought when I watched the trailers for this movie, I thought I had seen Usher in the trailers, and he wasn't in this movie.
Huh?
Tell me everything that happened. The first time I visited death row, I wasn't expecting to meet somebody the same age as me. From a neighborhood just like ours. Could have been me, Mama.
But what you're doing is gonna make a lot of people upset.
You always taught me to fight for the people who need the help the most. Your life is still meaningful, and I'm gonna do everything possible to keep them from taking it. You don't know what you're into down here in Alabama when you're guilty from the moment you're born.
God,
Mr. McMillan.
we done here.
Mr. McMillan, please.
I was just about to give up when I got a call from a Harvard lawyer looking to start a legal center for inmates on death row. I was in before he even offered me the job.
You the lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for driving all the way out here. Most lawyers barely make time to call.
I can't believe you talked to all my people and say you're gonna fight for me. I did. It mean a lot.
If you go digging in those wounds, you're gonna be making a lot of people very unhappy.
When people care about a thing that much, they'll do anything to get what they want.
When I first learned about all this, it was like looking at a river full of drowning people and not having any way of helping them.
You ain't quitting, is you? No, sir. Each of us is more than the worst thing that we've ever done. I know what it's like to be in the shadows. It's my dad. He do nothing wrong. It's never too late for justice. You're the only one cared enough to fight for me. If we can look at ourselves closely, we can change this world for the better. We all need grace. We all need mercy. I got my truth back. You gave that to me. And ain't nobody gonna take that from us.
I don't remember that.
I was like absolutely sure I had seen Usher in the trailers,
Huh.
and I was so excited about it.
Maybe
And
he just
then-
makes a shout out
Was it-
appearance like in Hustlers.
Yeah. I mean, I know.
He wasn't in the movie at all.
I remember the.
No, I don't
I think he
think
was one of the
so.
family members, right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't in the movie. They
He
must
wasn't
have cut
in
him
the
out
movie
for.
at all.
Maybe it was too much of a distraction. I think Usher's kind of a.
He's a big.
He's
person.
kind of like if
Yeah.
Beyonce just showed up, you're like, oh, it's
Yeah.
Beyonce, and you forget about the movie because you're like so focused on this superstar, super
That's
person.
true.
That's why. Okay, I'll talk about this later. But Beyonce playing Storm in Black Panther 2 is the most... Okay, I gotta stop myself. That's such a stupid casting. Get Halle Berry back. She still looks good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But anyways, long story short, yeah, Shannon, Just Mercy.
So anyway, so Just Mercy is about the legal system and the justice system. And it's about a true story about a African-American lawyer who goes into law and starts taking on court cases for people on death row. Usually African-American people on death row who he believes have been wrongly accused. And this is kind of a hot button issue at the moment, of course, with everything going on in the world. So we're going to talk about it.
I think there's a huge... I mean, I've seen so many conservatives come out and just be like, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter, totally understand where they're coming from. So I think America's on the same page. I just don't exactly... What is... I mean, like, okay, so I read the book because you mentioned, why is it called Just Mercy?
Oh yeah,
then
can I say what the problem I had with this movie? The biggest problem I had with this movie is that it's called Just Mercy because nobody in this movie is shown mercy.
Yeah.
Mercy, by definition, is being given, let off the hook for something that you did.
So this is the part where you have to read the book that they completely cut out of the movie.
Really?
Grace is being given, let off the hook for something that you, mercy is being let off the hook for something that you did. Justice is being let off the hook for something that you didn't do, or convicted for something that you did do.
So
mercy is not in this movie. Okay,
go ahead. The book and he has his own website and law firm now that he's at for a while. So what the lawyer, Michael B. Jordan's character, who's a real life character, makes a point to say that if a white man robs a bank and a black man robs a bank, let's say it was George, not that George is going to rob a bank, but like, let's say someone like George, that looks like George, you go in front of the judge and you say, I'm sorry, like, I lost my job, my daughter's sick, my wife left me, I was in a bad place, I'm sorry. And there is this kind of thing that the system, the judicial system, the judge, there's like, oh, George, like, what you did was still wrong, but we understand where you're coming from. You get 1 year in jail and 2 years of probation, and if you keep that, we'll keep you out of jail, and you got to keep your record straight. And you're like, okay, cool, I'll do that. Now switch George with the black man, and that black man goes in front of the same judge and says, I'm sorry, like, I'm an only father, my wife left. It's like, they're already looking at you like you're a bad guy because of your skin color. Like, oh yeah, you're a black man, you're probably selling drugs, I don't trust you, I don't know you, you're probably just trying to rob a bank so you can do more drugs or something, and you get 10 years. So that is the point of the book and his law firm, to say there's a huge divide between white and black crimes and how someone is punished in our system. So both get punished.
What does that have to do with mercy?
Just mercy is the idea that, you know, it is unfair that black people are getting put in life or lifetime prison or longer jail time compared to white people. So it's kind of like, look, what he's trying to make a case for is like, why is there more mercy, just mercy for white people?
Oh, it's a pun. I get it now. Yeah. Just mercy. They should have put a slash in there.
Yeah.
That would,
yeah.
okay.
Oh,
and the only
goodness.
reason I learned this is because Shannon was like, why is it called Just Mercy? And I couldn't fall asleep. So I just ended up doing like 3 hours of research and like opened that rabbit hole. But it was fascinating to learn. I learned something new. I didn't.
Justice / mercy. I get it now.
Isn't that good?
I
That
am
is really
illuminated. They totally left that out of the movie, and it would have been so much better if they put it in.
Right. And I think it's because his law firm is called Just Mercy and the book is called Just Mercy, but they have to keep the story about Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan and his first case to kind of like start digging into the criminal system and what's going on. Very beautiful story, like really well told, and just you see so many points of view from everything from the jail to the courts to the lawyers to what's the Captain Marvel girl?
Oh, Brie Larson.
Brie Larson's point of view, and I mean, like, family. It is a really great film in that sense, but I'm telling you guys, definitely find the book and more information, because there's so much going on that I really learned just because Shannon was just like, why is it called Just Mercy? And I didn't even mean to look into it. I just did because of it.
I was like, nobody's giving him mercy. They're giving him justice. Like, it was driving me insane. So, thank you. That makes so much more sense now.
Yeah. And I give this movie, like, go see it. I think I learned a lot. Even just, it opened it opened more opportunities to learn more about how our justice system works and courts work, and what really is the main issue of all this Black Lives Matter, because I think there's a lot of confusion too. It's like, okay, cops are killing Black people, but we're also talking about criminal reform, judicial reform, police reform, segregation for we talk about the 8 Mile line, like more taxes and money comes into white neighborhoods compared to Black communities, and do they deserve to have the same things offered to them? There's just a lot going on, and there's just so much that this country, I don't have the answers, so I'm not gonna say, because
school vouchers would be a good start.
What was it?
School vouchers would be a great start to even out school incomes. Just saying. Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I want to learn more. I think it's a lot of non-white people. We're doing is we're just listening, and I think it's time to listen and not say anything. So I don't have an opinion, and I will not have an opinion, because I just don't know. This is all brand new stuff for me. We know racism exists, and we know there's a lot of police brutality, not just against Blacks, whites too at times. Poor God, that story from Minneapolis where that Australian woman called the police for help, and that cop shot her to death. And
I think the real problem here is the couple of cops that get through the system that shouldn't get through, and they are brutal. And
then the good cops protect them, because the line is you don't snitch.
Yeah.
And that's very dangerous. That makes it.
And it is. There's been a lot of talk about defunding the police unions.
I don't want to get political.
Unions.
I just think we should just stick to there's issues, and that's where we should stay at.
Yeah.
There are issues, and we're just listening. And I think we all need to be educated. The problem I see right now, and it's driving me crazy, is like, so many people have to have an opinion. It's okay to not have an opinion and just listen. Yeah. And I'm trying to do that too. Just be like, I just want to listen, understand, because the left immediately attacks the right, and the right immediately attacks the left.
So true.
And there's a lot of miscommunication. And for example, okay, there's looters, but who are the looters? Are they Black Lives Matters? Some say it's not Black Lives Matter. They're just criminals who are just using the protest as a way to do crime and steal and do murder. But then there's others. I mean, there's just so much noise and so much miscommunication. It's like, can everybody just shut up and stick to the point? Something really bad happened to George Floyd, and Black people have been kneeling since the NFL games for a year or two, and there's something going on, and we can all agree on that. So let's just keep learning. And I thought what he said was really smart. Say, it's that Bible quote, be slow to speak and haste to listen. I'm butchering the Bible quote.
Yeah.
But and I thought that was a really good way to say, it is time for us to turn off the media and understand that we're all upset about something.
Mm-hmm.
And this country needs to do something to fix issues. Not all of us have answers, and let's not jump to conclusions and say, I have all the answers, this is what makes sense to me. Well, that's the problem. You think you have all the answers and your way is better, and that's why we're in the place we're in our system.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
Reaganomics and everything that has happened in the past, and segregation of financial tech, and they're just how do we get there where we unite as a country? Because we need to right now, or else we're going to kill each other. And he's 100% right.
We're going to have a civil war. Yeah.
We're going to have a civil war. And it's
starting now. It's in the streets.
Right. And so the problem is because we stopped listening. He said, my father, even though he was conservative, Democrats and conservatives, left and right, never attacked each other like that in the 70s and 80s like they do now. And he says, I blame the media for that.
Yeah,
the media
is
fueling, because it's clickbait, and it's ratings, and it's the list goes on.
They're literally making the story so that someone picks a side on it.
Right.
They just the way that they're splitting up the information is to make it opinionated.
Right.
And
it makes you and they want to get an emotion out of you, to make you angry, to make you fear, or just something to get you to click. But
they get paid every time you click.
Right.
That's why they're doing it.
I mean, I'll admit I do articles on our website for Geekdom Movies and our YouTube, and I love clicks. When you guys click things, I get really happy. But I'm doing movies.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about real issues where it's like I'm trying to promote, I don't know, God knows what. I mean, like, movies are great because we can all disagree, but it's not going to end the world.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, if you didn't like a movie, it's like, oh, you didn't like the movie, and we were upset about it, but it doesn't cause any harm because it's just a movie or TV show. That's why I'm fine with it, but I feel like that shouldn't play into politics, and it definitely shouldn't be playing into the problems and issues, because now we're not fixing anything.
So
we're just causing more issues and problems,
yes, exactly.
and making bigger problems. So sorry, that's a whole lot of stuff that I just said, but I'm just gonna say this movie was great. It's a great story about something that I didn't know anything about until very recently. Like I mean, I've heard of Black Lives Matter in the past, and I've kind of looked into it, but I didn't really care enough to know what it is or what's going on really to the core of it. And I feel like I'm learning more in the last month or so by just listening and educating myself and just trying to understand. And this movie is such a small example of a broken system, and I do think we're all trying to fix it. I do believe at this point, I have very close conservative friends who I'm not going to name, but they were against the kneeling and the peaceful kneeling and protest about Black Lives Matter, and they've come around and just kind of been like all about Black Lives Matter. I'm like, whoa, like you were like super Trump, super kneeling is bad, you're disrespecting the flag and all that stuff, and now you're suddenly like listening.
Here's the perspective that we had, because I was one of those people that, you know, I had supported Trump. I had been against the BLM protests in the past, and one of the reasons why was because it all started with basically all of the media that we had was them burning flags. Yeah. That's all we saw. So we're like, these people are hating our country right now.
Right.
We saw hatred from the start. And so, of course, we had an emotional response to that, because this is our country. We love it, you know? We're like, how can you hate the place where you're at, where you're living free? Like, we didn't get it, you know? And so I honestly blame the media, really, mostly for our perspective on that, because we didn't understand the real reason why they were doing that, the real reason why it was important, why they were trying to have a voice, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and the way that the media frames it is like, if you don't support Black Lives Matter, you're a racist, and if you like cops, you're a racist, and it's just all just noise and nonsense, and it just forces people to take sides. And these new round of protests this year, I was really hopeful when I saw that there were some cops who had gotten into like tight situations out there, and I actually saw like black people lined up to protect the cops, and I was like, okay, good, now we're finally getting somewhere. We understand that there's mostly good cops, and most black people are good people, and most Americans are good people, and what we need to root out is the like 1% of these cops that are terrible. We need to just put a better system in place. And when you're saying that all cops are bad, which is what the media makes it sound like the Black Lives Matter group is saying, then there's going to be a response from everybody that's ever had a good like interaction with a cop who saved their life, or a good cop who helped them out when they were in trouble. You're going to have another backlash from that side. That's natural.
You know what's funny?
People that have cops in their families.
My friend, he's been a state police officer now for 10 years. He graduated, I'm not going to say his name, but he went to high school at Avondale, graduated in 2005 with me, or 2004, I can't remember now. But he's been on the forefront of saying police need reform. And he's a state police officer. And he's been saying that for years now. And he's not saying that all cops are bad. He was just saying, like, there's things that don't make sense as police officers. And there's this really great video that he posted of this African-American police sergeant or general or something. I don't even know what the names are. He lives in Houston, Texas, and you know they had where one of the cops killed one of the black folks, and he's black. He was the general or the sergeant, and he's African Americans. And it's like, how can that happen? How can police accidentally kill a black man and you're black? What do you have to say to that? And he was very honest. He said the problem is the cops are given way too much to do and not enough information to do it in. Oh, suicide, cops. Domestic violence or like couples fighting, cops. Murder, cops. Trafficking, cops. It's like, you
never know what you're walking into.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not a counselor. I don't know if you have a fake gun to get me to shoot you, or are you a real threat? I'm not a counselor. I'm not trained in that. I have one job to I take a gun, and if I take my gun out, I'm shooting. I don't pull out my gun when I'm not going to shoot somebody. I took out my gun, and I know for a fact, 100%, I might have to shoot somebody at this point. Because I took the gun out. Well, and let me just finish. And so he said that we need to break up the system. We need to have people trained in different force, like in the police force, that is responsible for violent crimes, like robbery, kidnapping, murder.
That's a great idea.
And then there's ones that are responsible for, like, counseling, or like they have tasers and like, you know, a traffic cop should be with a taser or like one of those clubs that London police officers carry. And if it looks fishy, and it always works, like, and if it looks too much or it looks like it's gonna escalate, that's when the real police officers with the training to do like violent crimes come in. Yeah, it's maybe not perfect. No, but there has to be a breakdown. It can't just be every cop is responsible for all of this. It was like, I don't have that degree or that knowledge to know. I'm just a cop, you know? Well, and
yeah.
You're the same cop who pulls you over for a ticket and citation if you park wrong or you speed, and you're the same cop when there's a murder. Like, there's a
that's a good point.
Huge divide between those two things.
That's a huge point, yeah.
And it's like we are given way too much and too much responsibility, and too much is dumped on us, and there isn't enough funding, there isn't enough education, and there just aren't enough cops for all of this. And he's like, I'm in Houston, one of the biggest cities in America, and it's out of control. And it's like, we need to, and you know, my friends, he's a state police officer. If anybody's word I'm gonna take, it's gonna be Dave. Dave, if you're listening, I'm gonna give you a shout out, but I won't say your last name. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from him because he's a police officer and he's sharing that information. So I do think we're kind of sort of getting to a place, even though the media is like, abolish all police, and it's like, okay, like, stop saying that because it's so extreme that you're killing the conversation yet again. But it's a political left versus right BS, because now the right is like, oh, they just want to get rid of all police and just disband the police.
Right, I don't think anybody actually wants that, except for like two extremists in Seattle, maybe. But
like, and you know, they had a point. It's like, hey, we want to protest, and last time we did protests in Seattle, the police came and beat the crap out of each other and caused a riot. So can you guys just like not show up because you're causing a riot when it should be protest? Everything is just so mumbo jumboed, and like,
yep.
I do think we're slowly waking up. We're slowly waking up and realizing we have problems, and we have big problems in this country. And this movie, long story short, this movie is just a very small example of those problems. And I think it's a great movie. Netflix just released the Black Lives Matter movie series. So they uploaded like a bunch of movies talking about segregation and slavery and black voice, and it's a great way to learn if you're interested in that. So for me, I think we should move on because we talked too much about this movie. Unless you guys have more to say, then by all means. But I'm just gonna go watch it. I think it's a great movie. That's my review.
Yeah, I would say to go watch it as well.
It's a true story. It's telling you history.
It's not a nice movie.
Yeah, this is not a fun movie. You're not gonna enjoy this one.
Olaf's not gonna come in singing, looking for Samantha.
It'll break your heart, but it's an important movie. So
yeah. All right, so that's our review for Just Mercy.
Just Mercy.
And we're gonna now move on to Date Night.
All right, so we're gonna kick it back up a notch and go to a much more fun movie, and that is it's about a 10 or 12-year-old movie. It's called Date Night, starring our favorite Steve Carell and Tina Fey.
Oh, you just put in your mouth guard. That usually means we're not gonna, you know.
Oh. How lucky can one guy be? We can still fool around.
Really?
Let me just get my head around it.
Honey, it's fine.
I mean, just some.
Yeah.
Oh!
I love you! My wife and I are on a date. We were hoping to get here earlier, actually get a table.
You didn't quite make it, did you?
We'll be standing over there.
Okay, I've already forgotten about you.
All right.
Triple horn? Party of two? Maybe we should go someplace else.
I want tonight to be different.
Triple horn.
Us.
What are you doing?
We are the Triple Horns.
Great.
Excuse me, Mr. and Mrs. Triplehorn.
Get up. Now.
Honey?
Get up. Now.
Did you really think you could steal from Joe Miletto?
This is just a big misunderstanding. We are Phil and Claire Foster. Hey, God! No, he turned it sideways. Kill shot! That's a kill shot! We are going to die!
I don't want the kids to live with your mother! She's awful! I think I know someone who can help.
Can't believe out of hundreds of clients, you remember this one guy.
Well, I've always been good with names and faces.
Claire Foster. Hey, man.
I do private security, dealing with rogue governments, black ops.
You are good with your instruments.
This is the NYPD.
Oh my God, that's them! Intersection! Honey, move your ass!
We're gonna find the Triple Horns.
What are you doing here?
We didn't have a reservation, so we took yours, and now they think that we're you.
You just took our reservation?
What kind of people are you? Not a big deal! They had no idea who they were dealing with.
Mother.
Honey, if I'm gonna get whacked off, what are you smiling about?
No, we might get bumped off. We're not going to get whacked off.
I think we are.
As a couple that's on a date night and they mistakenly get kidnapped. Take it away.
I've seen this movie 10 times as much as Get Smart. It's phenomenal. It's one of my favorite like romantic comedy movies. It's also very unique. We saw it in Lovebirds.
It's
and
a lot like Lovebirds.
It feels like Lovebirds stored the racial idea from Date Night, which is fine. I don't really care. But Date Night was very original for its time. This couple who just wants to live on the edge, but they don't know what they're doing when they try to steal somebody's name in the restaurant, and they end up being targeted by these.
They get kidnapped by mistake because the bad guys think that there's somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, and then adventure ensues.
And this movie has some of the best cameos I have ever seen.
I didn't even notice any. Well, tell me.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Can you, for the love of God, put
Gal
a
Gadot.
shirt?
I mean, Gal Gadot too.
What's his name?
James Franco.
James Franco and
yeah,
Melina Kunis.
Oh yeah, Whippets. Whippet.
Yeah. Gal Gadot was weird. That was weird to go from Wonder Woman and she's just like some prostitute or something. I don't even know.
No, she was the model.
Just or something like
but
that.
yeah, it was like
that was
Wonder Woman. Yeah,
Oh,
that was Gal Gadot.
wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was. That's one of the things. This movie, like, you don't expect that because like this was 10 years ago, so this was before like her career even took off. Really.
Oh yeah, nobody knew who she was yet.
So
right.
like you're watching this and you're just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You're so used to her having a main role in a movie that like her having a side role feels so weird.
No, that's very true. And I love this movie. I think Tina Fey and Steve Carell have such great chemistry.
Yeah, they're really believable as a couple here.
I almost choked on my water the first time I saw this movie with the dance club scene where they're trying to like.
That was so.
Oh my goodness!
I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
When I watched that, oh my gosh. Wow.
yeah, this movie's great. I don't know what else to say. It's hilarious. Tina Fey, Steve Carell, one of the two biggest comedians we have today, and they play a married couple whose marriage has kind of like gotten boring or kind of like mundane with kids and marriage and career, and they're just trying to spice things up and get caught up in too much.
Yeah, it's just a dumb, goofy movie. It's like The Hangover. It's a lot like Lovebirds. I felt like I was rewatching Lovebirds watching this. It was like deja vu.
Actually, I think that's the reason I suggested this movie, because I was like,
Yeah.
you guys have to see Date Night if you saw this movie, because it's same premise, just as funny. Actually,
I think that Lovebirds, I laughed a lot more.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But Steve Carell is always lovable in anything, and Tina Fey is always good in anything. So if you just like those two and you just want to laugh, this is a dumb, fun movie to put on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You could do spoilers if you really wanted to. I don't know what else to talk about.
I don't know if there's much to spoil in this movie.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 new releases this week. Maybe we can just talk about what's coming up in our episodes. We got one that is a Judd Apatow film. He does.
Oh yeah, King of Staten Island. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch that. It looks so good. So that'll be our next review.
Is that coming out in theaters or streaming?
It's on streaming now. It was supposed to come out in
okay,
theaters.
cool.
And the other one is The Blood 5 or whatever, the new Spike Lee movie that just got released, getting great reviews.
Guess I haven't heard
With
of it.
Black Panther, the actor who plays Black Panther. He's in it. He's a Vietnam soldier. He's a soldier in Vietnam who finds treasure or like gold in Vietnam, and they bury it, and then they have to go back and find the treasure.
Oh my gosh.
When they're like in their 60s, and when Vietnam is open to Americans again. Really fascinating story. Also a true story at the same time.
What?
And Spike Lee did it,
Holy
and he's a
crap.
great director.
Wow.
So we're gonna review that, and then we'll review the King of Staten Island. So look out for
that's
those
so
reviews.
funny.
We promise we will go to a drive-in movie.
I might go through a drive-through on the way home.
Yeah, probably.
Honestly, if these 2 movies came out in a drive-in, I would go see it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they both trailers are phenomenal. Like both these movies. In The King of Staten Island, what's his name? He's on SNL.
Yeah. Gosh, I can't remember it.
Is he one of the Lonely Island guys?
No, I don't think so. He was
Jake something?
He dated
Jake
that
Fairbank?
famous singer.
Yeah, he dated Ariana. They almost got married.
Really?
I'm trying to remember his name now. This is terrible. It's terrible because in the trailer they say his name every time. Man, he's like.
I'm trying to remember the name she sings in her song. One taught me love. One taught me
Pete
patience.
Davidson.
Yeah, Pete.
Ah, okay.
And then it's the director of Trainwreck, Knocked Up, and 40-Year-Old Virgin, Judd Apatow.
His stuff is always so like.
It's like dramedy.
Balanced. Yeah.
It's dramedy.
Dramedy.
So I guess the story goes, Pete Davidson's dad in real life
died. Yeah.
in 9/11
In 9/11.
as a
he's
firefighter.
Yeah.
So this is a love letter to his father, and it's a movie he made to give honor to his dad, and he plays a character whose father also died in a fire. Apparently, when it's funny, it's really funny, and when it's drama, you feel the emotions.
Huh.
So, and Bill Burr's in it, so I'm even more excited. I've never seen Bill Burr. You know who I'm talking about, right?
No, who's that?
He's a stand-up comedian.
Oh.
George, do you know Bill Burr? Have you seen his stand-up stuff?
I probably have.
I probably have. I just can't think of it.
He plays like a father figure to Pete Davidson, but he's a comedian, but he plays a firefighter too. And apparently they're supposed to have amazing scenes together. And a lot of people who have seen it already, because it came out like literally 2 days ago on streaming, they've all said, oh man, this movie should have been released in theaters.
Oh.
So both of these movies were originally supposed to be released in theaters. One dropped on Netflix, The Five Blood, so we'll do a review next week for that. And then the other one is King of Staten Island. So look out for those reviews. Thanks for joining our first review in person.
Our first outdoor review too.
Yeah.
This is fun. I don't know how the video is going to look. Hopefully you guys can hear us and the picture looks and we look all okay. But this was just a fun idea. We actually had a bonfire back there. And we set it up and Shannon worked really hard. But we could not... I mean, you made the pet.
You
worked really hard.
We
to
got
get
a
that pet in general.
We got toasted marshmallows, which is what I really wanted. So we're good.
I might actually eat a marshmallow before I leave. I'm not gonna lie.
We're going to have.
But yeah. Oh, actually, George, grab it. Let's show the bonfire.
All right.
So this is where. Okay, let me know when it's on me.
All right, it's on you.
Okay, so these chairs were actually set up here, like right here. I don't know, but and we put the camera here, and the camera with the lighting just didn't look all that right. So we didn't end up. But this is Shannon's bonfire pit. I don't know if you can see it in the video.
Yeah, this is my house. Check out my garden over here.
And she's got a garden.
It's a hexagon garden.
It's really dark, so I don't know if it'll come up, but yeah, so this is where we were originally. We were going to do top 3 horror movies, which we'll still do. I feel like we need to have a bonfire video. Maybe we'll start earlier, like at 8 or something, where it's like nighttime till 9:30, you know? And we can do that for sure. Next time. But yeah, this is our first review. Thanks for joining us. Keep up with all the news and updates. GeekdomMOVIES.com, GeekdomMOVIES YouTube channel, Facebook. What else do we have? Patreon. Twitter. You can find us just
anywhere.
Just Google Geekdom Movies. We're really blowing up, actually. We're getting 1,000 views per day on our website.
That's awesome. That's great.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Take care,
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.